And we are live. Welcome to Coding Talk, everyone. The return of Coding Talk. It's been a while since we've had this conversation, and I'm glad to be back and actually really excited to have with me today Robert Dahlstrom from Apellix. Bob, we'll call you Bob. Bob,
Yeah.
welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me on the show, Jim.
Yeah, and this is our second time around, but there's been a lot of updates and changes, and I thought this would be a great way to do kind of a spotlight on the spray painting drones that you've unveiled, and also to talk about Apellix and where things are kind of heading when we're looking at drone technology in the coatings industry, but also dovetailing that potentially into on the corrosion side as well. So before we really get into a lot of back and forth and conversation on these topics, Bob, if you could do a favor for that one person out there that has never heard of Apellix, who are you and what do you guys do?
So Apellix is an aerial robotic system that it does everything from cleaning to coating to non-destructive testing. So basically for the industrial world, right, and the built environment as well, it's cradle to grave asset management, right? So when something's new, paint it. When it gets dirty, wash it. Measure the thickness of the coating of the coating or the thickness of the underlying steel over time, and then eventually get to the point where we can do full life cycle maintenance on an asset. All while a person is safely on the ground, right, operating a robot, and the robot's up there doing the work.
That's a real good point. And I think it's, earlier we were talking about artificial intelligence and, my aspect of it, AI needs to augment the human, not replace the human.
Yeah.
And really, when you think of it, the spray painting drones, or, you have a water cleaning or water jetting drone, that really kind of helps augment the human, puts them in a much safer position, but also too opens up an opportunity for an industrial contractor to be able to deploy their forces a little more out there to do other type of project work, and really kind of let the drone kind of be the workhorse and perform a lot of the strenuous type of activities that a human was normally doing.
Yeah, exactly. Just what you mentioned with AI, augmenting the human. It's the same thing. You're not replacing anybody with these drones. What you're doing is you're allowing the person, the worker, the knowledge person, to use their best and highest use case. Is their best and highest use of their time actually up on a lift, holding a probe tip to a surface, or manually moving a spray wand around? I would say not. The best and highest use of their time is to put their knowledge and their expertise to use, to take that data, to analyze that data, to determine, what needs to be done to that asset, to extend its useful life, and to make sure that it's protected and that it's safe.
And when it came to kind of the genesis of Apellix, what kind of got you into looking at drones, and then especially related to the coatings industry?
Yeah, so I used to paint houses working my way through college, and my first company was a software computer company, and internet security. It was doing pretty well, and my beach house needed painting, and you drive under it, and then it's 2 stories, right? So I had the scaffolding delivered. I'm on a ladder. I'm up there painting, and I quickly realized I'm not in college anymore. The innovator's dilemma. There's got to be a better way. So, and this was 2013, right? And so I'm like, okay. Drones. But then I'm like, no, paint's really heavy. Battery life is limited. You'd have to constantly land and swap the batteries and add paint. And then I looked down to the ground, and there was a compressor on the ground, and I'm like, eureka, keep the paint on the ground, the power on the ground, bring it all up, a hose, an umbilical cord, a tether, and with software control the drone to be able to paint. And so I went to my garage, built a prototype that actually worked better than I expected it to, and then kind of went heads down into starting the company. And so one of the first things I did was just a 1-page press release and a 1-page website. And all of a sudden I'm getting a call from all the large paint manufacturers around the world, from some of the large asset companies, right? And so one of the first people that called us up had us out to their facility in Pascagoula, Mississippi, was Huntington Ingalls Shipbuilding, right? So they build the destroyers and the aircraft carriers and the Coast Guard cutters. And so we went out there, talked to them about painting with a drone, and we quickly realized just how difficult that would be, because there you're talking about 17 pound per gallon paints with zinc and heavy metals and all sorts of sophisticated applications of how you put them down at a certain millage rate, all these things. And so we went and started the development of that. And that's kind of how we then grew into all the other products that we have at Apellix.
That's a real, I love that type of a story where, you kind of, it's the same thing where everyone winds up in the coatings industry. You never were born and say, hey, I want to grow up and be a painter. And, here you are, you do painting and a house painting and stuff like that. And then from that, you have this idea related to the drones and things like that.
What was so great about that was the whole coatings industry, right? It's called coatings, not painting, right? When you're painting a house, you're painting, it's aesthetic, it's architectural. When you're coating something, you're applying a system to protect that underlying asset. And if it's a battleship, that's could be $1 billion asset, right? That you're protecting with this coating system. So that level of scientific detail knowledge became core, and that's embedded into the DNA of Apellix since day one. So we are very scientific in all of our approaches and everything we do. And safety is at top of mind for exactly those reasons as well. And it's top of mind for every single thing we do.
Yeah. And I've been following Apellix. I want to say you and I were introduced in SSPC conference, I think in 2018. I think you presented drone technology at the SSPC conference. Was it 2018? Do you remember?
I did. It was probably 2018. But the interesting thing is at SSPC was 2020 the last conference they did? Yeah, in Long Beach. So I get to tell people I had the last word at the last SSPC meeting before they merged and became with NACE and became AMP, because I gave a presentation, the very last presentation on the very last day of SSPC.
Yeah. And, just to see where the technologies is really advanced and everything like that. And now you have a limited beta program right now where, if I understand correctly, this program is basically to do that kind of the final test and the kind of push the drones to whatever limit to kind of
exactly
final revision type of stuff. Is that what's going on with your beta program?
Yeah, it is. So back in the day when we first started developing the painting drone, it's a very complicated system, right? It's got a lot of computer hardware on there. And one of the ways we were able to get the precision that we needed to be able to lay down a coating of paint at 15 mils wet plus or minus 20% is we had a laser tracker on a tripod, survey grade laser that tracking the drone in sub-centimeter accuracy level, feeding that data to the drone to help with the control mechanism so that we were able to control the drone. We have technology has changed, and then we have also changed to be able to eliminate that, because that used to be a limiting factor, right? You had to be within visual line of sight of this, survey grade laser. So we've taken a lot of the work that we did, both with Axo Nobel through their innovation program, Paint the Future, with the joint development agreement. We've taken a lot of the work that we've done with the U.S. Army, with the CBRN defense, that's chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear defense. So we're building something for them as well. And we've taken all those technologies and we've placed it into this new painting drone. The other thing we did, this new painting drone is based on the frame and the aircraft that we're using for our power washing drone, which is in use in over 20 countries around the world, hundreds of them out there, hundreds of thousands of hours of flight time. We know we have a very stable, very great platform to apply coatings from. So we've been able to eliminate all that complexity of a ground-based tripod and system. And we now have the intelligence on the aircraft itself to be able to do things like the precision flight control, where it automatically adjusts, you dial it into 14 inches, for example, from the tip to the surface, and it locks it in. If drone drifts back a little, it pulls it forward. If it drifts forward a little or is pushed forward by wind, it pulls it back. So it locks it in. And we're better than a human there, because we're at plus or minus, typically plus or minus 5 to 15%. Humans, they spray up and down. They're not always perpendicular to the wall. The other thing we do is with the drone, it does keep it perpendicular to the wall, plus or minus 5%. So it's not turning to the left or to the right. And then we control the speed as well. So if we dial it in at 0.6 meters per second, boom, we're at 0.6 of a meter per second, usually plus or minus 5%. So all of those are better than a human, right? When it comes to painting. What we're not as good at yet as a human is getting one line on the wall and then coming back automatically and lining up and doing the second line so that it does production painting. So what we're doing with our beta, our limited beta testing, so it's not a beta drone, it's a beta program.
Yeah.
So we only have a certain number of companies we can support with this program. So we placed a number of these drones with AMP QP1 certified contractors, either large organizations that have their own painting division within them that we're working with, or some other companies that are doing other types of industrial coatings. And we're working together with them, right? So they buy a painting drone. We work together with that company to improve the drone. They have direct access to our engineers. Our engineers come out and paint with them. As we make updates to the hardware and software over the course of the next year, we actually have our technicians come to their job site and make those changes.
Wow, I like that collaboration. I think that's critical. A lot of companies might put a product out there, and here's the final version of it. Here you go. And what I like about the collaboration is you're literally letting industrial coders kind of help you kind of improve a lot in the technique and the process, like you were talking about when you're doing the second pass, third pass, to keep the consistency. You're going to get there, I would say, based on that type of a collaboration working with industrial painters. The other thing is, I think, really putting it out there in the field to test it for its hardness to be able to deal in certain environmental zones and different environmental conditions and things like that. Everything is great in the lab, but really field is where you learn everything. And it's good to hear that, the program has rolled out. I would imagine for you, this is a great opportunity to also learn about other things that you can add maybe down the road to the drone systems themselves. Do you imagine a day where you have industrial coating contractors out there that will have basically a workforce of drones, a workforce of human skilled labor, and then also looking down the road when you look at AI, incorporating basically all three elements of the human, the drone, and artificial intelligence into a robust type of coding operation?
Yeah, because a lot of what is happening in the industry, we know there's a shortage of skilled workers. We know that the average age for coders is 55, and they're exiting the industry, and then it's hard to get new labor to come in. So a lot of expertise is leaving. So what I like to call that is knowledge in the head versus knowledge in the world. And so if you have all these really smart people that know what they're doing, and I mean, I've seen this. I've seen where a coating inspector will say, "Oh, that's probably 30 mils too thick that they put on that battleship there. They just wasted X number of gallons of paint." And then they go up there and measure it with the DFT gauge, and guess what? It's 30 mils too thick. It's like, these really smart guys that know what they're talking about, and they know what they've done. They've been doing it for 30 years, and they're leaving. And so that knowledge in the head is gone. But if you put that knowledge into the world, right, into a software program, into a robotic system, and then you build upon that knowledge, and then you take one of our mantras that we use all the time around work: all of us are smarter than any one of us. All of a sudden you start building something that benefits everybody and takes the best knowledge of everybody and puts it into the system. And that is what we're doing exactly with this beta program. Is we're asking everybody specifically, we want to know, what can we do to this drone to unlock the most economic value for you? What is the next little thing that we can do that is the best for you to make you more productive?
Yeah, that's really important, because it really comes down to it is, a company's they're gonna buy into this program, into these drones, based on an economic model to be able to capitalize and turn some profits out of it. So I've seen the power washing drones do work, and people are using them from anything from water tower to infrastructure type of cleaning out there. And so that could be also too a money-making opportunity for a contractor. And then with these painting drones now, all of a sudden you've created an opportunity to kind of augment that shortfall, maybe on the skilled labor side, And I think you keyed on something about the aging of our the coatings industry. We are seeing that not only in the workforce but also in professionals, and we're having a real hard time recruiting young craft workers and also young professionals into our industry. And by introducing a innovative technology like drone technology, I think that makes it more exciting to really get a younger generation to want to get involved.
Oh, it absolutely does. I mean, even on the development side, which is what we work on, right? We're always building these and making them better. We get students graduating from the top universities in the world: Stanford, ETH Zurich, Carnegie Mellon, the top robotic universities in the world, cold calling us saying, "Hey, can I come please work for you?" Because what we're doing is so innovative and so amazing and so cool. And some of the stuff, I mean, you can see what's coming very, very clearly, especially when you look at what we're doing with the Army, with the CBRN, and it's just absolutely world changing.
Yeah, so I mean that's another aspect of it too, where you have a drone that is pressure washing. It could be utilized for cleaning a structure, but it could also be used for other dual use type of applications. Are there other industries that you're looking at, or other sectors? When you look at state, federal, governmental type of things that for dual use type of technology for both of
Yeah.
these different type of drones.
Yeah, and we are working in a dual use capacity with the Army, because they understand that helps keep the cost down, and then makes it easier to get replacement parts and that type of thing. So everything we're developing for the Army goes into the marketplace as well.
Oh, that's really good. It's really
Yeah,
good. Well, when
yeah.
it comes to the engineering side, people will buy a drone off of Amazon. They'll get the DJI, and I always view those as a real low tech. Is there, would you say like thousands of hours of engineering that goes into each drone to get them to perform?
Oh, absolutely. Thousands of hours into each drone, but then once it's built, right, you just replicate it. But there's always a continual improvement. So no drone stays the same for very long before it's improved upon.
And then for operators, is it difficult? What the type of training or skill set? Do they have to go to like a Top Gun university to learn how to fly like a fighter jet? But what type of training typically goes into the operator?
Yeah, so you do need a drone pilot license. So anytime you're charging money to commercially operate a drone, you need a pilot license. It's a 2-hour test. As long as you pass the test with a 70 or higher, you get your license. And then actually flying it, the drones that we build, right, they're custom built specific for a particular task. So they're not like the camera drones that zip around and fly real fast. They fly very slow, very, very precise, very controlled. If you let off the controls at any time, it just stops and hovers. They've got a ton of safety features built in there, especially because we work in industrial environments with these, often in class 1, sometimes class 1 Div 2 locations. So safety is paramount. So that's why a lot of our software safety things are in there. Even like people say, well, how can the drone stay so steady when it's got 3,500 PSI of water at 10 gallons per minute blasting out of it? And real-time dynamic force compensation systems built in with our AI, built into the aircraft's operations, gives us that precision flight control. We were actually building integrated circuits to go on our drones 10 years ago, because at the time the technology wasn't fast enough for us, and we had so many sensors on there. Because we've got a multimodal array of different sensors, we need a lot of horsepower on there for the software to be able to control that drone to do those things that it does. But it is, like you say, or like I say often, it's a flying computer. But like you say with AI, it is a perfect platform for that, because now you have an aircraft that can access places that would be difficult for people to access, not only doing a task like cleaning or coating, or it can be also at the same time measuring the efficacy of the coating. Are you at the exact right transfer efficiency ratio with your system setup? Is there maybe a clog in the tip and you're fingering on the sides when you're laying down your film? So having the ability to have onboard processing with real-time adjustments makes it makes it easy for the pilot to fly, because at that point the drone is flying itself. It's like the power wash drone, you're manually flying it. It's got like a distance hold that'll keep you a certain distance away from the surface, but you're moving it left and right or up or down. The painting drone, that's automated. You're not flying it. You're just holding your finger on it. You let your finger off and it stops. Same thing. We've worked with like Graco for the specialty parts we put on there. You don't turn on and off the trigger, right? The drone automatically turns it on. If you pull back on the stick and the drone comes away from the asset, the paint stops automatically. You don't have to flip a button. If if it's moving too fast or too slow or too close or too far, the paint stops. The paint doesn't come on until you're actually moving at the right speed. So you're not like blasting a bunch of paint on and then starting to move the drone. So there's a lot of intelligence built into these systems, all with the intent of keeping the operator, making it simple for them so that they can be concentrating not on the drone and what the drone's doing, but concentrating on the coding and what the coding is doing. If you're using a corrosion inhibitor that's 2-part epoxy with a 20-minute pot life, you've got limited time to be able to take things and do something before your paint turns into glue, right, or hardens, and you've just ruined your painting systems. So we've put a lot of thought into the design of how these systems operate, so that the operators can do just that, not concentrate on the drone and instead concentrate on the coding.
Yeah, and here's a question that had popped up here. Do the drones fly with paint lines? As it says there were cups for touch up. You want to go through, how is the paint supplied to the drone itself?
Yeah, through a normal pump. So it can be an airless pump. It can be electrical pump. We've tested it with everything from the 80-to-1 airless compressors to the electric, Graco standard compressors. But there is no reservoir of paint on the drone itself. It all is fed up from the compressor up to the drone.
Up to the drone itself.
Yeah.
And then someone had mentioned about that you have a cool YouTube channel, and you do, and people can go on YouTube after the stream and watch that. When it comes to, you were talking about having, obviously it's connected to ground-based supply for material for coating, obviously a coating system that's coming up from a pump system. When it comes to the drone itself and it's actually performing the operation, it's painting, is it gathering any data? Is there readings that are coming from that are like data logged back in some type of a reporting system?
Somewhat, yes. At this point, there's a little, but it's nowhere near what we want it to be. And that's part of why we're doing this beta testing or beta program with companies, with painting contractors, to say, what data do you need? What data do you want? What data can we provide you that helps you, with your decision making to make sure that the coding is done properly. So that's one of the things we're still in process of building with this.
And usually an owner, when they have a project, they'll have their specification, and they're going to really let the contractor, when they hire that like you talked about, the AMP QP1 accredited contractor. Yeah. Let's say they hire that contractor. They're hiring them, and they're going to say, hey, your means and methods, you do what you need to do to get this project done. Here's the specification to work around. Here's some other requirements we have. And with the drone itself, are you doing a campaign of also educating the owners out there that if a drone is used on a particular asset, that, listen, you could be assured that this drone can do what a normal standard operation can do?
That's part of the process that we will get to. We're not doing it yet. Again, this is where we're gathering data. We have case studies. We want to analyze them and then publish them at some point in time. But right now, we're still in that beta program. And once that beta program ends, then we'll have that information we'll be sharing with people. It's very similar to how we launched our power wash drones. We didn't just build them and say, here you go, and close the door. We built them in conjunction with the industry. We took our engineers, went out and did jobs in the industry, came back, made iterations, then went back and worked with these companies, just like we're doing with the beta program for the painting drone, where we work with them and paint with them, right? So that we learn what's working what we can do that'll make the best product possible. Then when the beta program is over for the painting drone, we will have been iterating and making adjustments, but when the painting beta program is over, we will have a few adjustments left to make to the drone to make it ready for the market. And at that point, we'll go out to the full market with it.
Okay. And then
but we don't want to release anything before it's ready. So we don't want to make any claims that aren't true. We don't want to say, we can lay down a coat of film at 10 mils plus or minus 20%, unless we can actually do that. And we document everything and we qualify everything. And it's all there, all the proof for every single statement we say.
That's a great approach to have, and really it makes a lot of sense to do that. When it comes to the regulations that might exist, you have to deal with different type of safety, like you talked about. You got OSHA, you've got different state regulations, federal regulations, and things like that. Or do drones, or are there any type of current for the industrial painting side? Let's say, are there drone related regulations that you know of?
There are some new ones that have recently come out. There's the NDAA, which is the National Defense Authorization Act. So on federal property, and 7 states out of the 50 states have passed the same legislation, where if you're operating a drone on state, municipal, city, local, government run or federal property, you have to have the drone that is NDAA compliant. So we have that. Our drones are NDAA compliant. And the question is, if you're an oil and gas terminal, for example, right, you're not a municipality, you don't have to have the NDAA compliant. But what happens if the government says, oh, we now consider all critical infrastructure has to have the NDAA compliant? Because a big part of the NDAA compliant is a cybersecurity component, right? Making sure no images or data or information is transmitted from that drone anywhere in the world, even across the street, is prohibited. So having systems that are NDAA compliant is a way to future-proof your operations, because if the federal government said, infrastructure is now requiring NDAA compliant, then you're going to have to ground your drones if they're not NDAA compliant.
I get it. That's really important. So we got a couple questions here for you. This first question is related to, obviously, on the business side. Is there financing that's available for a contractor who's looking at buying some drones?
There is, but also remember too, the drones right now are basically for flat vertical surfaces. We're not doing anything with them at the current moment in production or out in the world where they're painting rooftops or they're painting complex architecture, or they're, the last thing we're going to be painting with these are houses, right? Because you've got complications, doors, windows, that type of stuff. These are industrial tools for industrial coating at the current time. And there are we have a lot of financing options.
Because, you are selling right now the power wash units, correct? Yes,
we are. Yeah, they're in 20 countries around the world. I mean, we've just expanded yet again, hiring more people yet again to meet the demand with that. And we offer financing on that. So,
and then this question here is related to warranty and support. After you sell your drone, what type of support does Apellix offer?
With the power wash drone, it's a 1-year manufacturer parts and labor warranty. So if something goes wrong, we fix it for you. The same is true for the spray painting drone, but for the beta program, we come out and do everything. It's a very, very tight handheld relationship that we're looking for with these, and that we have with the existing people that are in the program. Now, the program is not all we do. We also have the painting available where we can come out and work with you and do a job if you're interested in buying the drone when it's available to the commercial market, or if you're interested in buying the drone and you're outside of the continental United States. But for right now, the only ones we have in deployment are with these AMP QP1 certified or similar qualifications, where we know they know what they're doing and they're not, and we're able to learn together from them. But we also have a few jobs we're doing with select customers at their request. So we also do services in a very limited manner as part of our research and development, because we don't compete with our customers. We've actually given millions and millions of dollars worth of business to our customers, that people want something cleaned, where we turn that over to our customers to let them do that. So we have a very strong relationship with our customers, and that carries through to the warranty and to the service. 90+% of any repairs for the power wash drone are completed in a day.
Okay.
We don't even bother. People ask us, do you have a loaner program? We're like, yeah, we do, but nobody's ever used it because, we repair the drone so quick. So
yeah, they're not used to that.
yeah.
Also too, you were talking about, 1 year. Do you have other type of are you looking at, or do you currently offer or looking to offer like service level agreements? If I owned a fleet of them, that for X amount of money a year, come and check them out, annual inspection.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's the same thing when we sell the drone. We're not just selling you the drone. We're selling you everything, right? It includes everything that you need except for the ground-based pumps, right? So it's got all the stuff you need to be able to fly and do your job. And it includes your training. So that the training is, half a day. And then you've also got our learning management system where, we've got some companies that put their pilots through our training, and then they want to recertify them every year. And so they have a login to the learning management system. They go in and they recertify and take all the questions and tests. So, we love educated customers. We want educated customers. We want people to operate these that know what they're doing, know how to use the drone, and then know how to ask questions. And most importantly, know how to tell us what we need to do to make that drone better, what we need to do to service that drone better, what we need to do to make the industry, the coding industry better. That's our reason for being.
And a question related to, obviously when you're talking about with spraying, what are some of the tips and things that, this is stuff that can be interchangeable in a job?
Exactly. So we're using commercial off the shelf tips for everything. The wands are commercial off the shelf, the tips. Same issue though with a regular painting. If a tip gets clogged, you have to turn it to the clean out position and then turn it back to painting position. Well, with the drone, when that happens, you have to land the drone and then clean out the nozzle. So our friends at Graco have made some solutions for that will be forthcoming, that they've patented. So we will have Graco patented the ability for like a revolver, right? So that if one tip gets clogged, it goes to on a pistol, it goes to the second chamber and a new tip pops in there, and then the third chamber. So if a tip gets clogged when you're painting, you don't have to necessarily land. The other thing they've patented is a design where there's a servo on the tip, and you could turn it to the clean out position, blast some paint through there, and then turn it back into painting position to get rid of that clog. So, we've got our 7 patents and 2 additional patents pending on these robotic systems. And, that's part of the reason why the military will work with us and no one else, because they're mandated to respect U.S. patent laws.
Oh, very good. And then question here looks like maybe from a contractor from Curly here. He's interested in the beta program. How can we go about working with Apellix in that capacity?
Just call me or send me an email. So it's bob@apellix.com, APELLIX. If you go onto our website, same thing. You can fill out the form there, or you can email us from the website. We'd be happy to have that conversation. And we're excited about this. I mean, we love this. We love going out and doing these things. And some of the things we have in process are just mind blowing.
I think it opens up so many avenues. And then the question from Seth was talking about, abrasive blasting. Is there an opportunity, down the road to have we have robotic crawlers that do surface preparation. Mm-hmm. Is there a potential that a drone could do the same thing?
There is potential, but again, you have to compensate for that back force. And if you're doing UHP or something, you're going to need
it's a lot,
drone, and it's a lot. But it can be done. It's something that is in our product development roadmap. So it's something that we know is part of, go back to my initial statement of that cradle to grave asset lifecycle management. That's going to be part of that solution, right?
Yeah, I couldn't imagine the type of engineering that would have to go into controlling something coming out, let's say 35, 45,000 PSI. That would be absolutely amazing. But, that being said, that's how we got on the moon. You take a challenge and you engineer it to the point where, hey, we can do that. It's not a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bob, we had a great opportunity to talk a lot about Apellix and talk about the beta program for spray painting drones. I guess a question I would be asking more from my side is going to be on the aspect of inspection drones and things like that. Without revealing any type of secrets, is there other areas that you could talk about that are maybe in industrial painting that potentially Apellix might be looking at down the road?
Yeah, and you alluded to it with AI, and some of the technical standards committees that I'm on are looking at various AI applications for corrosion, and in part because visually humans can only see so much, but cameras, right, on a drone, or which is a sensor, right? Certain sensors on drones can see things that the human eye can't. A perfect example of that is the CBRN, right? The cameras or the technology detect where there's a chemical residue, right? So the drone goes out and pops up, finds the target, goes over there, maps it, washes it autonomously. Then it scans it and says, "Oh, okay, well, there's chemical agent there, biological agent there," and then it goes and it applies the coating that goes over top of that to encapsulate it or neutralize it. So all that is done autonomously right now with no human interaction, and that's something we've already built a proof of concept of it that does. That's what we're going to be demoing to the Army, or we're supposed to demo to the Army next month at what they call desert or demo in the desert at Dugway Proving Grounds. But it may not happen because of the government shutdown.
Yeah, I think Senate ran a couple votes this evening. I don't think it's gone. We're still in shutdown, but we'll see what happens. I think
we just had our call with the Army today. We have 2 calls a week with them, and that was the entire topic of the call today. Are we moving forward with this? 6 months worth of work for hundreds of people involving thousands of people attending an event, or is it going to be shut down?
Yeah, anytime you're dealing with government, you're dealing obviously in industrial painting. A lot of the infrastructure has government, state, local type of subsidies and grant money and things like that. And then obviously a lot of people work with the Department of Defense and the ship painting side and other type of things. So I really truly understand how how real stressful these times are right now. I do think here's another one here. Question before we end. Can the drones lay down heavier deck coatings? Dealing on a deck.
Yes. Right now, not on a deck because we're doing flat vertical surfaces, but the same millage and thickness can be applied to a wall.
Oh, got it. Okay, perfect. And Bob, before we end this live stream, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you wanted to cover? And then importantly, how people can get in contact with you regarding the beta program, and also to learn more about Apellix systems, not only in addition to the spray painting drones, but also for the power wash systems and other type of services you guys provide.
No, I would just say, check the YouTube site that somebody mentioned earlier, the Apellix YouTube, or check the Apellix website and see what's there. And then just stay in touch and watch us on social media. Things change fast at Apellix, and we really have a mission to not only make the world a safer, better place, but to hopefully save lives by removing workers at elevation and having robots do a better, safer, faster job. So we love this. We enjoy this. We talk about it all day. We think about it all day and dream about it. So we welcome and encourage any conversation that we can then turn into something that helps move the entire industry forward. This isn't about Apellix. This isn't about robots. It isn't about software. It's about the corrosion industry. And people don't realize how important the job is that we all do keeping the world running. I mean, without infrastructure, we wouldn't have water, lights. I mean, we would live in a vastly different world, and people don't understand the scale of what it takes to keep this modern lifestyle working well without putting people at risk to do it.
Very good point. Very good point. And Apellix is leading the way. And I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you, and also the years of following Apellix and see where things are heading. And obviously, we talked earlier before the stream started, my interest related to AI in the coatings and corrosion industries. So, there we go. Well, I thank you too. Everyone, tomorrow evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, another coatings talk, and this is going to be a live panel discussion regarding SSPC PA2. And so that is going to be a great conversation go on. Hopefully, it will be super entertaining, like the PA2 discussions that have happened in the past when the revisions were happening. So I'm looking forward to it. So make sure that you do join tomorrow. It'll be on LinkedIn and also on the YouTube channel for Coatings Talk. And I'm in the process right now. I need to revise some things related to the YouTube channel, kind of kick it back in gear again. And then obviously Coatings Talk on LinkedIn. I want to make sure that I'm doing more streams, video content. And I'm currently working on taking Insight, Coatings Talk Insight, from the newsletter that was available on LinkedIn to a digital magazine status in 2026, probably the first quarter of 2026. So I'm going to take that leap and make it a digital publication. And you also got a compliment there. Michael says, spot on, Robert.
Thank you, Michael.
He says, cheers. And then we got...
and I'm excited about that, Jim. I think your publication, turning that into a magazine or a publication, is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, and the thing I'm really excited about is the Coatings Talk symposium coming up in December. I'm really looking forward. I'm going to be running it on the on-air system. I use StreamYard for my streaming, but I also have the webinar system. I can handle up to 1,000 attendees. I know I'm not going to get that many, but I would love to have a really good turnout for that, and to probably turn into an annual event to kind of close out the end of the year, to have subject matter experts come in and do presentations on coatings, corrosion. They could talk about intelligent drone systems, like what you're talking about, Robert, and artificial intelligence in our industry. There's so many things we could do. And it's the aspect of the Coatings Talk. And you were mentioning earlier about the aging of the aging of the industry, excuse me. I am very concerned that we're not really attracting young professionals and the younger craft workers. We really need to get them engaged and integrated within the coatings and corrosions industries, because we see that age go up and up and up. And I know that's pressure on a lot of not only the industry, but also organizations like AMP, and also a lot of different sectors when it comes to the protection of their assets. That if we have a time where we have this real terrible shortfall of not being able to do things because we don't have enough workers, that's where artificial intelligence and drones and autonomous, robotics and things like that really come in to augment that human workforce. So.
Exactly. And then coupled with the fact that the infrastructure is aging and needs more attention and maintenance than it did when it was newer, all of a sudden it's a trifecta of bad things that could happen. So, if you having robotic systems is one way to fill that void that's opening up.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much, Bob. Thank you so much. Everyone, have a good rest of your evening, your night, or morning, no matter where in the world you're watching this live stream. Thank you, everyone.